North Korea hit back on Thursday at U.S. criticism over its test of a submarine-launched ballistic missile this week, saying it was rightfully exercising its rights for self-defense and that the weapon doesn't specifically target the United States. The comments by an unidentified spokesperson of the North's foreign ministry come as the UN Security Council was set to hold an emergency closed-door meeting over the launch at the request of the United States and Britain. Just days ago, the North launched a new ballistic missile from a submarine in its first test of such weaponry in 2 years, marking the most significant demonstration of its military might since U.S. President Joe Biden took office. Washington condemned the launch, which underscored how the North continues to expand its military capabilities amid a freeze in nuclear diplomacy, and called for Pyongyang to, quote, engage in sustained and substantive dialogue. In comments published by Pyongyang's official Korean Central News Agency, the North Korean spokesperson said its recent test posed no immediate threat to neighboring countries, and there was no need for Washington to agonize over a weapon that doesn't specifically target the United States. Nuclear negotiations between Washington and Pyongyang have stalled for more than 2 years over disagreements in exchanging the release of crippling U.S.-led sanctions against North Korea and the North's denuclearization steps. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration on Wednesday authorized booster doses of the COVID-19 vaccines from Moderna and Johnson & Johnson and said Americans can choose a different shot than their original as a booster. That'll pave the way for millions more people in the U.S. A Brazilian Senate report recommended Wednesday pursuing crimes against humanity and other charges against President Jair Bolsonaro for allegedly hurting Brazil's response to COVID-19 and contributing to the country having the world's second highest pandemic death toll. Lawmakers spent 6 months investigating the Brazilian government's management of the pandemic. The decision on whether to file most of the charges will be up to Brazil's prosecutor general, a Bolsonaro appointee and ally. Bolsonaro has consistently downplayed the threat of the coronavirus and touted misinformation and unproven COVID-19 treatments while ignoring international health guidelines for curtailing the spread of the disease. He steadfastly rejected restricting activity during the worst of Brazil's outbreak, claiming the poor would suffer worse hardship if the economy ground to a halt. Rival Sudanese protest leaders on Wednesday urged their supporters to remain peaceful on the eve of a critical day of demonstrations over the fate of the country's fragile transition to civilian rule. Opposing factions of a once civilian umbrella alliance, including a pro-military splinter group, have called for competing rallies Thursday. The Civilian Umbrella Alliance spearheaded nationwide demonstrations in 2019 that led to the ouster of President Omar al-Bashir. Protesters from the Splinter faction have been holding a sit-in outside Sudan's presidential palace for the past 5 days and have been calling for so-called military rule. Critics allege that members of the military and security forces are driving the pro-army protests, and counter-revolutionary sympathizers with the former regime are also involved. The Syrian military official says 2 bombs attached to a bus carrying Syrian troops exploded in Damascus during the morning rush hour Wednesday. 14 people were killed in the attack, one of the deadliest in the capital in years. While the Syrian government's decade-long conflict with insurgents continues in parts of the country, including the rebel-held Northwest, bombings in Damascus have become exceedingly rare since President Bashar Assad's troops pushed opposition fighters from the capital suburbs in 2018. Shortly after the bombings, government shells landed in a rebel-held town in northern Syria, killing at least 10 people, 4 of them children. The attack, part of the government campaign to regain control of the area still in opposition hands, was the worst violence in the region since a truce in March last year was negotiated by Turkey and Russia, allies of the opposition and Syrian government, respectively.
Hi, thank you for watching. I hope the videos are useful for you. Please subscribe to my channel using the button below.